The innkeeper smiled too kindly when she said, "We only have the honeymoon room left." That was bad. Worse was the way Lena squeezed my arm and answered before I could. "That's perfect," she said. "Perfect, right. Because for the next 48 hours, Lena and I were supposed to be a very believable couple. Not for fun. Not for some harmless little prank. For her grandmother. Her grandmother had been in and out of the hospital all winter, and after missing 2 family holidays, she had one request. She wanted the whole family together at the lake house for her 75th birthday. No drama, no gossip, no stress, especially not about Lena's recent breakup with the kind of man who treated apologies like a monthly subscription. So when Lena found out her ex, Graham, was still coming, because he had apparently become weirdly close to her brother over poker and bourbon, she panicked. Not because she still wanted him, because she didn't want her grandmother spending the whole weekend watching him hover around her like unfinished business. "I just need one clean weekend," she told me over coffee 3 days earlier. "One weekend where no one looks at me like I'm fragile or waiting for him to come back. And your solution is me?" "You're stable," she said. "That's a deeply unromantic pitch. You're also good under pressure. That sounds like I'm being hired for a hostage exchange." Lena leaned across the table. "Evan, please." That was the problem. I had known Lena since we were 12, since braces, bad haircuts, and the year she got suspended for pouring orange juice into the principal's decorative fountain because he called her spirited in a parent meeting. She was still spirited, just better dressed now, and a lot more dangerous to my peace of mind. We had spent years being the kind of friends people misread on sight. Too easy together, too familiar, too quick with each other. The kind of dynamic that made waiters assume separate checks were a personal attack. My sister once watched Lena steal a bite off my plate, steal my jacket, then tell me my posture was emotionally dishonest, and said, "You know, normal friendships don't look like soft launch marriages." Lena laughed. I did too. That had become our best skill, laughing at the exact thing neither of us wanted examined too closely. So, yes, when she asked me to fake date her for a weekend, I should have said no. Instead, I asked, "How convincing?" She looked at me over her coffee. "Convincing enough that Graham leaves me alone and Grandma has a peaceful birthday." That was how I ended up driving with her through a snowstorm to a lakeside inn with one overnight bag, a fake relationship, and absolutely no understanding of how badly this was going to go for me. By the time we got there, the roads were half ice and the lobby smelled like pine, wet wool, and fireplace smoke. Lena's family had filled the main house already, which is why we were at the inn down the road in the first place. One room left, one bed, honeymoon room. The kind of situation the universe only creates when it's bored and cruel. The room itself was warm and beautiful in a way that made everything worse. Iron bed frame, quilted blanket, one lamp by the window, a fireplace already lit. Zero couch, zero useful distance. Lena set her bag down and looked around once. Then she turned to me and said, "Well, if you laugh, I'll kill you." "I'm not laughing. That's because you're in shock. That's because your family apparently books romance-themed lodging like a threat." She rubbed her forehead. "We can handle one bed." "Can we?" She looked at me then. Really looked. Not joking now, not quick or bright, just tired enough to be honest. "We have handled harder things than one bed," she said quietly. That landed deeper than it should have. Because she was right. We had handled funerals, layoffs, panic attacks, my father's surgery, her divorce filing, my year of pretending I was fine, after my own engagement ended. We were good at hard things. That didn't mean I wanted to lie beside her in the dark and act like my body had never once understood something before my brain gave it permission. Dinner at the lake house was exactly the kind of exhausting performance I had expected. Graham kept trying to sound casual. Lena's mother kept looking at us like she was solving a delightful puzzle. Her grandmother, sharp as ever, just smiled and patted my hand once like she knew more than everyone else put together. Lena played her part beautifully. Too beautifully. Hand on my sleeve, easy smiles, leaning against me when she laughed, looking up at me during stories like I was already built into them. By the drive back to the inn, I was having a difficult time remembering which parts were acting and which parts had always been there. Neither of us said much getting ready for bed. She changed in the bathroom. I changed facing the fireplace like a man in an old movie trying not to fail a moral test. Then the lights were off, and Lena was in bed beside me. Not touching, not speaking, just there. The mattress dipped when she turned once. Snow scratched softly at the window. Somewhere below us, pipes knocked in the walls. I was almost asleep when I felt it. Her fingers, light, barely there. Starting at the back of my neck and tracing slowly down my spine through the thin cotton of my t-shirt. Every thought in my body stopped. Then her voice came out low and too close in the dark. "If we're keeping up the act," she whispered, "you can't go this stiff every time I touch you." I didn't move. That was the first mistake. The second was answering honestly. "I'm stiff," I said into the dark, "because you're tracing my spine like we're either married or in trouble." Lena's hand stopped. For 1 second, I thought she'd pull it away completely. Instead, her fingers stayed resting between my shoulders. "Maybe both," she murmured. That did not help. I turned onto my back and looked at the ceiling I couldn't really see. "Lena." "What?" "You cannot do that and sound casual." A soft laugh. "I'm not casual right now." There it was, not teasing, not performance. Something lower and truer. I turned my head toward her. "Then what are you?" Quiet stretched between us. Then she said, "Tired." Fair, but not the whole truth. I knew because I'd known her too long. So I asked the question I should have asked before agreeing to any of this. Why me? That is an insulting amount of confusion for someone in a one-bed honeymoon room. I mean it. She rolled onto her back beside me. I could hear it in the mattress. "I asked you," she said slowly, "because I knew you wouldn't take advantage of it." That landed first. Then the rest did, because there was more in it than trust, more in it than convenience. I kept my voice even. "That's not the only reason." "No." The honesty of that nearly undid me. Lena folded one arm under her head. "I asked you because you make me feel safe when everything else gets loud. And because if I had to fake being happy with anyone for a weekend..." A pause. "You were the only person I could stand that close." My pulse had become a serious management issue. "Lena, you wanted honesty. I did. Then there it is." The room felt smaller now, warmer too, like the fireplace had somehow reached all the way into the bed. I swallowed once. "You know that's not easy for me to hear." Her voice softened. "I know." "No," I said. "I don't think you do." That made her turn toward me. I couldn't see much, but I could feel her looking. "With you," I said carefully, "there's always been a point where the joke stops being a joke, and neither of us says anything useful after." She let out a breath that sounded too much like agreement. Then, very quietly, "Maybe I'm tired of that part too." That was the moment the room changed. Not because she kissed me, not because I touched her, because suddenly both of us were awake inside something we had spent years pretending not to notice, and neither of us trusted it enough to move first. A phone buzzed on the nightstand. Lena cursed under her breath, grabbed it, and the spell cracked just enough for breathing to become possible again. "It's my mother," she said. "Apparently Grandma wants us there early for breakfast. Your family is relentless. My family is bored." Morning did not improve anything. The lake house was loud, warm, overfed, and full of the kind of relatives who can smell tension the way dogs smell storms. Lena sat beside me at breakfast and kept one hand on my forearm, like she'd forgotten to stop performing. Unfortunately, my body had noticed the difference between performing and last night. Graham noticed something too. He caught me alone by the coffee station while Lena's grandmother was being helped out to the porch. "You look tired," he said. "You look unemployed in spirit," I said. He smiled thinly. "Cute." I started to move around him. Then he said, "You know she only does this when she's cornered, right?" That stopped me. He lifted his mug. The smiling, the easy touching, the whole "I'm absolutely fine and doing better than ever" routine. He looked toward the porch where Lena was laughing at something her grandmother said. She hates being pitied more than she hates being hurt. Anger came fast, not because I believed him completely, because he knew enough to be dangerous. "She seems pretty done with you," I said. His expression shifted, just a little. That's not what I said. Before I could answer, Lena appeared beside me, all soft eyes and steel. There you are, she said to me, slipping her hand into mine. Grandma wants a photo by the dock. Graham looked at our hands, then at her face, then away. That should have felt like victory, it didn't. Because Lena's hand tightened once, harder than she meant to, and I felt exactly how shaken she actually was. We made it halfway across the yard before I said, "What did he mean?" Lena kept walking. "Nothing useful." That wasn't my question. I know. We reached the dock steps. The lake below was half silver, half ice. The wind cut hard across the water, and Lena finally stopped. "He meant," she said, not looking at me, "that he knows I fake fine better than most people." I waited. Then she turned to me, eyes clear and far too honest for daylight. "And right now," she said softly, "I need you to help me do more than fake it." I frowned. "How?" She looked past my shoulder toward the house, then back at me. And in a voice low enough that only I could hear, she said, "If I ask you to kiss me in the next 5 minutes, don't hesitate." That got my full attention. I looked at Lena. Why 5 minutes? Because that's about how long it'll take Graham to wander over here, pretending he just wants to help with photos. Right on cue, voices floated down from the porch. Her brother was carrying folding chairs. Her mother had a camera. Graham was already heading our way with the lazy confidence of a man who thought proximity still meant something. Lena's hand found my sleeve. Not for show. Not entirely. "Please," she said, low enough that only I heard it. So when the family started gathering by the dock and Graham stepped too close on her left, I didn't hesitate. I took Lena's face in both hands and kissed her. The whole world narrowed. Cold air, her breath catching, her fingers gripping my coat. One beat where I told myself this was for the act. Then the second beat came, and that lie died immediately. Because Lena kissed me back like she had been restraining the same mistake for years. Somewhere behind us, her aunt made an excited sound. Her brother said, "Finally!" like an exhausted man completing paperwork. Her grandmother laughed. Sharp, delighted, unstoppable. When I pulled back, Lena stayed close for half a second too long. Then she opened her eyes. And whatever she saw on my face made her own change completely. Not panic, not embarrassment, recognition. "Photo first," her mother said, far too brightly. We somehow made it through 3 pictures. Graham disappeared. Her grandmother kept smiling at us with the dangerous satisfaction of an elderly woman who had outlived patience. The second the family got distracted by cake decisions and weather comments, Lena grabbed my wrist and pulled me down the side path toward the old boathouse. The door shut behind us. Quiet. Dust, rope, lake water, old cedar. Lena turned to face me and just stood there, breathing. I gave her a second. So? So? She repeated. That didn't feel like fake dating. She let out one short laugh and dragged a hand through her hair. No, it really didn't. I leaned against the workbench by the wall. "You want to tell me what that was then?" Her eyes lifted to mine. No shields now. No family around to perform for. "That," she said, "was me asking for 5 minutes of safety and getting something much more inconvenient." Despite myself, I smiled. She pointed at me. "Don't." "Don't what?" "Look pleased while I'm having an existential crisis in a boathouse." "I'm not pleased." "You're a little pleased." "Maybe a little." That got the smallest smile out of her, but it faded quickly. Because the truth was still there between us. Last night, the bed, her hand on my spine, the kiss by the dock that had gone off script and refused to apologize. Lena crossed her arms. "I need to know something." "Okay." "When you kissed me just now, was that because I asked?" I answered too fast to fake it. "No." Her breath caught. I stepped closer, slowly. "I kissed you because you looked at me like you were about to disappear into one more performance. And I couldn't stand it." She didn't move. Neither did I. "And," I added, "because if I'm honest, I wanted to know whether last night was only about proximity and nostalgia." I held her gaze. It wasn't. Lena looked down for 1 second, then back up. "No, she said softly. It wasn't. The boathouse felt smaller now. Warmer, too, even with the cold coming off the lake. I'm trying very hard to be responsible, I said. That seems unlike you. It's new. That's not what I meant. I smiled a little. I know. She took one step toward me, then stopped. Owen, if we stop pretending now, I don't know how to go back. That was it. The real fear. Not Graham, not family, not one bed. Us. I nodded once. I know. You say that very calmly for someone who should be at least a little alarmed. I'm extremely alarmed. Good. Lena. What? I don't want to go back. The silence after that felt alive. She stared at me like I had just pulled the floor out from under every safe version of this weekend and handed her the dangerous one instead. Then she asked, barely above a whisper, even if this changes everything? I stepped closer until there was almost no space left between us. Especially then. Her eyes went bright. Not tears, just too much truth arriving at once. Then a voice called from outside. Lena, her mother shouted, your grandmother wants the birthday toast before she gets tired. Lena closed her eyes and let out a breath that sounded suspiciously like laughter and defeat. Of course she does, she muttered. I touched her wrist lightly. We're not done. She looked at my hand, then at my face. No, she said. We really aren't. We stepped back into the cold, both of us looking exactly like people who had just changed their lives in a boathouse, and were now expected to smile politely through cake. As we reached the porch steps, Lena's grandmother caught one look at us and said, loud enough for the entire family to hear, well, about time somebody stopped lying. And with that, every eye turned toward us. Every eye on the porch turned toward us. Lena's grandmother sat wrapped in a quilt, hands folded over her cane, looking so pleased with herself that I briefly considered faking my own death to avoid the next 5 minutes. Lena, beside me, muttered, I'm never recovering from this. Her grandmother lifted one eyebrow. From what? Being obvious? That got a round of laughter from the family. Even Lena's mother covered her mouth to hide a smile. Her brother looked openly vindicated. Graham, to his credit, had the good sense to look away and say nothing at all. Lena drew in one breath, then did the last thing I expected. She reached for my hand. Not for the act. Not because anyone was watching. Because she wanted to. That single choice settled something in me. The nerves didn't disappear, but they stopped feeling like a warning and started feeling like a door finally opening. Her grandmother patted the empty chair beside her. Sit. Both of you. I'm too old to enjoy this standing up. So we sat. The birthday toast was supposed to be about family, health, gratitude, all the things people say when they're trying not to cry before dessert. But halfway through it, her grandmother looked straight at Lena and then at me and said, you waste enough time in life waiting for perfect moments. They don't exist. If you love somebody, be brave while you still have the chance. Nobody laughed at that. Nobody moved either. The whole porch went still. I felt Lena's fingers tighten around mine. Not hard. Just enough to tell me the line had landed exactly where it was meant to. After the cake and the photos and the slow unraveling of the evening, people drifted inside one by one. Her parents went to help clean up. Her brother took his grandmother's chair. Graham left without making a scene, which was more grace than he'd shown all weekend. That left Lena and me alone on the porch with the last of the cold light on the lake. For a minute, neither of us said anything. Then she asked, was that awful? The kiss or the public exposure? Both. I looked at her. No. She smiled faintly. You're taking this suspiciously well. I'm trying not to ruin the first good thing that's happened to me all year. That changed her face, softened it. She turned toward me fully, one shoulder brushing mine. Then tell me something without hiding behind humor. Fair. I took a breath and gave her exactly that. I've loved you in a way that was too big for friendship for longer than I wanted to admit, I said. I just kept calling it something safer because I thought if I named it, I could lose you. Lena held my gaze. And now I think not naming it was how I almost lost you. That one sat between us in the best possible way. No performance left. No pretending the family had forced this into the open. The truth was, they'd only cornered something that was already alive. Lena looked out at the lake for a second, then back at me. I need you to know something too. Okay, I didn't ask you to come this weekend just because of Graham. She gave a small, embarrassed smile. I mean, that part was real, but it wasn't the whole thing. I waited. She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. I missed you before this. Not in the dramatic, ruined my life way, in the everyday way. The grocery store way, the drive home way, the I saw something stupid and went to text you anyway way. Her voice softened. And I think I was tired of standing this close to the truth and still acting like it was nothing. That nearly undid me. So I did the only thing that felt right. I kissed her again. Not because anyone was watching, not because there was still a point to prove, just because she was there and honest and finally mine to stop pretending about. When we pulled apart, she rested her forehead against mine and laughed softly. What? I asked. We still have to share that bed tonight. I smiled. That does seem less emotionally survivable now. It really does. We did survive it, though not by sleeping much. Mostly we talked. Really talked. About London that almost was, though she'd never taken it in this version. Wait, wrong story. About her divorce. About the years we spent laughing things off. About all the moments that made more sense in hindsight. By the time morning came, nothing about us felt fragile. Exposed, yes. New, not exactly. It felt more like something we'd been carrying for years had finally been set down where both of us could see it. 3 months later, Lena still stole fries off my plate. I still told her she was impossible. Her family had become unbearable in the way only loving families can. Her grandmother referred to me as the boy who finally caught up, which I was forced to admit was accurate. And the strange thing was, none of it felt rushed after that weekend. It felt late. Late in the best possible way. If you were in my place, what would you have done when she traced your spine in the dark? Tell me in the comments. And if you like this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.